1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, sir. Sure can. Yes, sir.
Cushing Matters starts now.
It's all good, man.
Here are the hosts of Cushing Matters, Joe Kennedy and Dr. Don Amon.
All right, here we are, Cushing Matters. It's been a while since we've gotten to do an installment of Cushing Matters, a couple of months, but it's been a crazy 2 or 3 months for me. I didn't have a chance to even change clothes today, so you can see I'm still wearing the Central Tech garb here a little bit. But it's just a busy time of year. Matter of fact, Bruce and I were just talking about that. Bruce Johnson in studio with us here a little bit, and he was just mentioning that it's a crazy time of year, right, Bruce? So we're just
it is. We've got a lot of breaks. We've got a lot of activities going on, and we got a lot of holidays coming up. So
absolutely,
we're trying to cram everything in until the first of the year.
It isn't going to lighten up until after the first, probably that way. So, but good to know that other people are feeling it too. It's not just me. We've been all over the place this weekend, of course, with band competitions and different stuff like that. So covered a lot of football games, odd nights, and all that. So coming down to the last couple of weeks of football as well this week. So join us Friday for that. Cleveland comes to town to take on the Tigers. It'll be senior night, so you won't want to miss that. Everybody tune in to see the senior ceremonies there as well. We're going to get right into talking with Bruce here as well. I appreciate him coming up and being a part of this evening. We've got John Hinkle lined up as well from the master panel that's going to be on there with us. And so first of all, I want to say that there's a couple of things going on here that you might want to know about. One is going to be on November 9th, I believe I've got that right, at 7:30 p.m. November 9th, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. A little reception open house over there at the Safety Center. We'll pull that up here just a minute and get you that graphic. There it is right there. And it'll be a Cushing Forward plan. They'll discuss that a little bit if you want to find out more about that. That'll be November 9th at the Safety Center. We want to bring that to your attention and let you know you can go down and take part in that, ask some questions, be a part of that, and get involved a little bit. I think Terry mentioned that there's a few surveys out, but they would like some more, so you can see how to participate with that. We'll bring that up a little bit later in the show as well. But definitely get involved in that and be a part of what's going on. That's a comprehensive plan moving forward, and Terry's going to speak on that in just a little bit. When we come back here in a minute, we'll get to that statement with Terry. We'll get right to Bruce Johnson and a lot of questions for him, and let's see what's going on in Cushing. We haven't visited with him in a while, so we'll come back and figure out what's going on and hear from John Hinkle as well. So everybody stay tuned right here on the studio show.
Coach's Corner with head coach Rusty Morgan is brought to you by Horizon Construction, reminding you your home is our pride. Call Horizon Construction at 918-399-5835 and get your free estimate today.
At Davis Dental Studio, our patients are our friends. Unlike the big commercial facilities, Davis Dental Studios wants you to know you're not just a number. We strive to bring personal and quality service to each patient. Dr. Rebecca Davis has over 18 years of experience as a caring and compassionate dentist. She and her highly trained staff will make sure your visit is a positive one. So remember, when you and your family need dental care, Davis Dental Studio. You're not just a patient, you're a friend.
In my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
Bank of Cushing, a branch of Blue Sky Bank Pahuska, wants you to know they are still the same friendly hometown bank. Local people that live, work, and worship right here in Cushing. providing you the same great service, more convenient products and technology, making your local banking experience even better. A great bank, serving a great community. Bank of Cushing, a branch of Blue Sky Bank Pawhuska.
Since 2003, Pro Events has had one singular focus: great audio, video, and lighting systems. Never confusing our industry with the PC crowd, Pro Events always provides you with the best, most reliable options for your house of worship, school, or corporate training facility. Make your system stand out from the crowd. And remember,
for the best AV, you know where to go. Visit proevents.pro.
It's all good, man.
Welcome back to Cushing Matters. Even though you're going to see at every commercial break, you're going to see it looks like we're in part of the coaches show. We are not. We didn't get that changed. So just a lot to do when you come up to switch over shows, and we didn't get all that done as I should have. So anyway, we're in the studio, and Bruce Johnson is here. Bruce, it's been a while since you've been back up there. I'm sure a lot has transpired over the last since July, August, September going on. And so tell us a little bit about what's going on here in Cushing. What's new?
Well, a lot, as a matter of fact. I think that we had a article that was running the Cushing Citizen that JD put out that currently we're communicating with at least a half a dozen projects that all total up to be about, I think as of right now, it's over $15 billion worth of project of capital investment, and somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2,000 jobs right now. But for some reason, once we made the announcement in March that Southern Rock Energy Partners selected Cushing, Oklahoma to be the site location for their new full conversion refinery, a lot of people have taken notice. Then as we have gone through the public side and done the different steps necessary in order to allocate private activity bonds, then go to market with those bonds. A lot of people from around the state have also noticed that that's a kind of a brand new way to approach economic development and incentivizing economic development, and they've been calling us quite a bit from that also.
Well, that's very interesting, because that's kind of the effect we thought might happen back in June, and sure enough, here we are on the other side of that, and you're seeing some results of that. Just the attention that Cushing got just from the announcement. It's not even, we haven't even dug a shovel of dirt yet, and things are looking up as far as economic activity. And I assume that we could continue to see some of that effect.
Yeah, I mean, last Friday Cushing hosted some consultants out of Washington, D.C. that are working with the state of Oklahoma and the Department of Commerce in order to review a site here in Cushing for another multi-billion-dollar project that means hundreds of jobs on top of that. And as of right now, those site consultants went away very happy, and we've exchanged emails and phone calls, and are looking forward to hosting them again on another site visit. And hopefully this time they'll bring their clients, which is an energy company. And as of right now, there's only 5 locations in the entire United States that they're even looking at. Wow. So Cushing's already beat out everybody in the state of Oklahoma, and there's only 4 other places in the United States right now that they even believe it's possible to locate this type of project. But that just goes back to Cushing, its citizens, their willingness to allow the city of Cushing, the Cushing Economic Development Foundation, to go out there and market us. And again, I've said this many times, but we're 5 decades or 5 generations in to making Cushing the primary location for many, many energy projects. And we're just very fortunate right now that there's so many people that are looking at investing into new types of technologies, but also use our existing energy resources to go out there and make those new projects a reality, and Cushing's right in the center of it all. And each and every day, I answer dozens and dozens of phone calls, or make dozens and dozens of phone calls on behalf of Cushing, letting them know that we're open for business, and we're willing to take a look at what you have and see if we can't bring you in here and create some great partnerships.
That's pretty exciting news, because we've long battled the fact that no major highway comes through Cushing. We're not on an interstate. We're not somewhere like that. We've had that said a lot about Cushing. But what does come right through Cushing is the pipeline crossroads. All those pipelines come through here in the tank farms, and that is finally starting to pay dividends a little bit. In that sense, we're hearing that a lot of different places, and especially around the refinery news, there's going to be some other activity there that Cushing is going to grow substantially because of that.
We're hoping so. I mean, this not only are there refineries. I think I'm in conversation with at least 6 of those right now, but there's already other people looking at items that come before the refinery. Is that how do you create the feedstock to go into the refineries? How do you bring in crude from other parts of North America that may be a heavier crude that we can then blend with the lighter sweet crude that we have here in Cushing? Lots of advantages here in Cushing to be able to bring all that stuff in and then execute it. But we need to also work on the infrastructure, and that's what we've been concentrating on over the last year. We talk about that all the time, about when we're going to finally get rail back in and then able to take advantage of that transportation.
Well, it's obviously all this stuff leads to a lot of conversation about that and a lot of improvement in that area, because we start talking about how can we get rail. It becomes a practical matter, not just a conversational matter, right? It kind of moves from that step to the next phase, which is building it back. And we know it's close to us. We know that there's an active railway, at least down in Stroud, right? Yep. So it's not too far away from us. So, but these economic opportunities start that conversation to even say we can support that kind of thing here. And it's not just about the refinery. It's all about all the subsidiary stuff, just like you're talking about. What happens before the refinery comes, what happens after the refinery comes, and it's all pretty good news, is what you're saying.
Yeah, as of right now, we've been in conversations with Watco now for over the last year, and they have stated to us that everything that we heard when they purchased the state of Oklahoma's rail from Oklahoma City to Tulsa, that there was a caveat in there stating that they had to spend $100 million to get rail back into Cushing. Up until this point in time, they spent a majority of that money getting right away, and they're willing to put the rail on the ground and bring it in from Davenport into Cushing. And what we need is just the appropriate projects that have the right amount of rail and cars on that train to come to and fro, and they'll be more happy to put it on the ground. And we're trying to find those projects right now, and some, we're looking at 10 years out, but there's other projects that I think we're currently in conversation with one international firm that currently constructed a facility halfway across the world, but they're looking at least 3 100-car trains a day and want to probably bump that up, double that to 60 cars a month.
Wow.
30 cars on 3 different trains twice a day. So that turns out to be quite a bit of traffic, and that's something that would allow Watco then to justify going out and spending the rest of that funding to get rail on the ground. Put it.
Yeah, I mean, this is an odd question, but it's just something that popped in my mind though. But if that spur comes into Cushing, does that terminate in Cushing? Will it keep going? Will that be somewhere it connects to? Or?
That's just it. Is that as of right now, I'm probably needing 2,000 to 3,000 acres in order for all the projects that we're either shortlisted on, have already announced that they're coming to Cushing, or that we're in negotiations in. So I would like to have the rail to come all the way into Payne County as far as we can, and utilize and access all of that land that's on the north side of the community. I think that would be fantastic, because we've already had it there before. We've shown that it works before, but it also opens up quite a bit of land that may not be inhibited by companies already owning it. There's a lot of creeks, and most importantly, that's a lot of land that's in our own school district. As soon as we go into Lincoln County, it gets into the Stroud Public School Districts pretty quickly. And if we're having people invest hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in capital. That means tens of millions of dollars into our school district each and every year. And as you guys can see by the crest on my vest, you know, we're pro Cushing up here, and we want to see that our public school district get as much revenue as they can going forward.
Well, and of course they'll need it because the school will grow as well. Of course, that'll come in stages over time and that sort of thing. But that's exactly how the community benefits from projects like that. Those tax dollars, those ad valorem tax dollars come into the school system, and teachers do better, kids do better, facilities are better, all that kind of stuff continues to improve. And really, we're pretty fortunate here in Cushing to have very good facilities, and the tank farms we've already seen what that can provide for a school system here. So that's just more to come, it sounds like.
Yeah, our school district already spends nearly 3 times the amount a school on the Oklahoma's public school calculations that they receive in revenues and distribute out for those communities that don't have a school district, that doesn't have enough ad valorem to support itself. So as of right now, I think the state spends somewhere $4,000 and some change on per student every year, and we're closer to $12,000.
Right.
And we want to make it as much as we can, because that's why you do economic development, is that you want to secure as many opportunities for your kids and your grandkids and your great grandkids as possible. So
well, and having those jobs here, that means that more of those graduates will come back to Cushing, stay in Cushing, get educated locally, whatever, and make a life here. And so that's what you want to develop as well.
That's what it's all about. I know that we had a town hall, and one of the points that I want to make sure that everybody's clear on is that economic development for me, economic development for our foundation and for our city is not just a bunch of numbers trying to get a dollar to turn over as many times. That's a given. That's every community what they do. But we also know that there's a quality of life issue to economic development, and being able to see your kids and your grandkids play ball, go to their first recital, go to that first time they do a marching band contest somewhere, or the fact that they get into STEM and they build a robot and find their passion in life and is in mathematics and science. That's what we're here for. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. A lot of possibilities of good engineering jobs and middle class jobs there, as well as what you're talking about. I want to bring in John Hinkle here as well with us. John, I'm going to move you over so you can get in the appropriate place of the conversation there. I'll get you over here. So John Hinkle, thank you so much for being here with us today and sitting in with Bruce and I. You've heard a little bit of what Bruce has talked about already. What's that bring up in your mind and make important from your point of view?
Well, it's exciting news for Cushing. I was able to attend that town hall. It was very informative. Very impressed with the CEO of the refinery. Just a regular guy that has a lot of good things to say about Cushing. He's a family man, and that says a lot. And moving forward with Cushing, I mean, that's what you got to do in a town. You can't just sit. You have to keep constantly improving and moving forward to get a good quality of life for the folks in town and in the community, and that is very evident in everything that's going on. So I think everybody's doing what I consider to be an amazing job right now of getting our community out in the forefront and showing that this is the place that you need to be.
Well, when you have momentum like this, Bruce, and I mean, it kind of starts with that. I mean, the big announcement, that's easy to look at, but it really started long before then when you're wooing and courting these guys and you're talking to these guys in negotiations. It takes a long time to develop that. And I mean, I think you need to speak to that a little bit, because it's not just like this stuff happened last month or 2 months ago. This has been in the works for a while.
Yeah, Southern Rock took 2 years before the announcement took place, but the story of the Economic Development Foundation really started probably about 6 years ago. I know when I was hired, I came in and we went over what we wanted to accomplish, what we wanted to see in our upcoming year of our program of work, what we thought Cushing could be. Then we started having to just identify what our own strengths and weaknesses were, and we wanted to make sure that once we hit the ground, that we hit the ground running, and we want to make sure that when we went out and reached out to our regional, state, and national partners, that we also had something to contribute to the conversations, and that Cushing just wasn't a small rural town asking for money or grants or knowledge and skills just for only our utilization, but we wanted to show them that all the resources that we have in our community can be equally shared among those that have something to bring back the value to us. And those partnerships have blossomed now. So I think this current project that we brought in that had a site visit last week, they're currently looking at a build date at 2031. So again, we're going to go through many site visits. We're going to go through lots of conversations. We're going to have a lot of discussions about how exactly do we make this work come in our community. But it's going to be the next generation that's going to have really going to be able to take advantage of that project and everything that comes about it. And I bet you 99%, if not all of my board won't even be part of the foundation board at that point in time when we actually put that, but it's their efforts now that are helping us out into the future, years and years, even a decade from now.
Absolutely. Well, I want to, we're going to go and listen to, give Terry talk about Cushing Forward, because that has so much to do with how going beyond whoever is in office right now, going beyond even Terry and his time here, the foundation that he's laid, the foundation you've laid, all that work that's gone into that is for a purpose, and that's to move Cushing forward. And we need to know that everybody is looking for those benefits and planning on what we need to do next, so that we keep that momentum going. We don't have to go back to zero, kind of like when the refineries left, we were at zero and we had to start over. And so it's been a long time. It's been a long 30 years, trying to get this momentum going back the right way again.
I've just told people we've been in hibernation, but we're out. So
yeah,
we're ready to go.
Well, let's take a look at what Terry had to say here. I think I've got that on. I don't remember exactly which one, but we'll bring it up here and see what Terry had to say. Just all right, here with Terry Brandon down at City Hall. Appreciate him taking some time for us today. Terry, we just wanted to ask you about the Cushing Forward initiative. What can you tell us about that and what's going on?
Absolutely, Joe. Hey, it is an exciting opportunity right now in Cushing, Oklahoma. So the Cushing Forward initiative is something that we have been really talking about the last few months. It really encompasses two things. One, it encompasses what do you want your Cushing to look like 15, 20 years from now. And so there's going to be a lot of deep planning that goes on for the city. How do you plug in? You plug in by going to cushingforward.com. There's a short survey there. Right now, we're about 160 to 170 surveys short of what we need. So we really want to encourage people to go and plug into that. You're going to have a lot of questions that you get asked that you give an opportunity to give anonymous input to, if you like. And so I hope that people will take advantage of that. The second component of it has to do with land use. Our comprehensive plan was developed here back in the late 70s, early 80s. And so it's been about 40 years since we've had an opportunity to revisit not just land use, but also revisit our zoning ordinances. And so in conjunction with the comprehensive plan process, we're also going to look at our zoning ordinances and land use. As an example, there could be an opportunity for some mixed use development in downtown. One example where we've had a zoning challenge, to give you some idea of where we're at, we had a business that wanted to locate up on Main Street. But because that business, which is commercial, but because that business was considered a C5 designation, the area that they wanted to go into on Main Street was a C3. And so it would have taken a conditional use permit and a lot of steps to get that business put in. It's something that could have been done if the owner wanted to pursue that. And it was ultimately, if it would have ultimately been approved, obviously, by the Planning Commission with a recommendation to the City Commission. So land use is really important here. We're building a brand new $10 million substation on the eastern part of the city. That substation is nearly complete. That is going to complement potential expansion on the east side of the city. So I think a lot of times people look at some of the things that we do and kind of wonder, hey, are you looking at expanding, or are you looking at future growth? The answer to that question is yes.
And there you have it from Terry Brandon right there. Talking about what we're planning to do to encourage further growth with the city, and especially out east. We've got the new school going in out there. That substation is going to support that as well, which is well needed. But there's a lot of things involved there with what you have to do to keep things going and momentum we have to keep going. Bruce, what are your thoughts on what Terry had to say with
Well, that's
Cushing Forward?
We've mentioned the town hall once, or actually probably twice during this conversation now, but I'll mention it one more time. Is that I have shown pictures of Cushing as it was developing between 1912 and probably 1930, and we literally have houses, shotgun houses, sitting right next to tanks that are full of oil, that has a creek that has casing of piping right on top of it. And the first thing that I'd mentioned at that town hall was that we didn't have any zoning back then. So if you can put some kind of industrial site right by a residential site, probably not the smartest thing in the world, but we were growing at probably 100% every 6 months at that point in time. When people were coming to the town looking for jobs, and after the Cushing Drumrock Field was discovered. It's very important for us today to look forward and ahead, and for you to give your voice and your opinion on what Cushing should be 40 years from now. It's fantastic that the City Commission has decided to go out there and enable you to let your voice be heard through the Cushing Forward website and through taking those surveys. And I've taken it and I've given another opinion, but those are the types of things that's going to influence their decision when we determine where the house is going to go, where are the new companies going to go, where's all the retail going to go, and we need to make those decisions now. So when all those investments start coming into the community, we can show them exactly where they need to be, and the size they need to be, and how they need to build. And so we aren't making any mistakes that might have been made in the past, where we were just trying to gobble everything up as fast as we could and not worry about what those decisions were. So it's fantastic that there's a vision, and we're trying to determine what our goals are as a community.
Absolutely. John, what's your take on that from Terry?
Oh, I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I've talked to Terry several times, and I tell you, I think the biggest thing is that with that survey out there, people need to get involved and get their voice out there. It's an opportunity for people to get involved and say what they like about. I just like the highway we're improving through the middle of town. That project had been talked about for years and years, and now it's come to fruition. Just like 18 North, we've talked for years that highway needs to be upgraded. That stuff is happening right now. So, under Terry's leadership, and I've worked with him for many, many years, is dead on about moving the town forward and progressing. But most importantly, like we talked about with the Cushing Forward, folks just need to get involved and get their voice in there and talk about what they want for their town. It's so many times, people are real quick to jump on and go, well, I wish we'd have done that. Well, how come we couldn't have done this? Well, there's an opportunity to get those opinions out there so that the leadership has a chance to see them.
Absolutely. You can go to the Cushing City of Cushing Facebook page, look for a link there to get that survey, or go to the website and get those surveys there. And fill it out and send it in, and like you said, like Bruce and John both have said, make your voice heard. It's a time where you can make an impact as a citizen right now, not only with voting, but with expressing your opinion about what you want to do with certain things and certain projects and what the priorities may be. So it's a good opportunity to make your voice heard and get off the sidelines. Stop complaining just all the time and do something about it, right? Get some people wound up and rounded up and let them know what you wanted this town to look like.
It is, and that's the great thing about local government, is that you can see immediate results. You don't have to worry about if the state is taking your funding and then moving it over to the Mid-American Industrial Park or somewhere near Pryor for their economic development efforts, or you have to the national government, which we all feel on a daily basis. We have no idea what they're doing or why they're doing it. But it's great that you can stop people like Terry at Walmart while he's shopping for his vegetables and tell him exactly how you feel, or any one of our commissioners. We'll see him on a daily basis, or at a Friday night high school football game, like I did during homecoming. That I went over there and gave him hugs and let him know that, hey, I'm here supporting the team, and guess what? You can still throw a couple barbs in about a couple of conversations you had and what you'd like to see Cushing do in the future.
Well, it does make a difference, having those relationships so close. I can say this, and I'll bring up another plug too for the city manager's report. There's several copies of it sitting here. Terry just handed those to me this afternoon as I went down to City Hall when we taped that short interview. And there's a plethora of information right here that Terry makes available to everybody every month, and you should really dig into that and read a little bit of it. Just take a few minutes to read it and kind of find out what's going on. There's so much information in here, and I can guarantee you we will be hard pressed in the future to find a city manager that cares enough, long enough to put the effort into producing a report like that for the general citizens to consume. For many years, we complained about we don't have enough information. We want more information. Well, we're seeing the result of that now. He has been putting that out for many years that way, and so take the opportunity to pick up a copy of that. We'll post it on our Facebook page, Cushing Hub Facebook page as well. We usually just post pictures of each page, but you can go down through there and read it, look at it, and kind of decipher what it is Terry's doing, and he'll tell you straight out how things are going in city government. So that's a very local and a very accessible thing too that you can benefit from.
Yeah, I've been in this business for 3 decades now, and when I read them, I still learn something. So if I can learn something, I know there's other people out there that'll be completely educated by the types of materials they put out.
Absolutely. Well, so let's we're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll get to the real big information everybody wants to know about. Everybody wants to know about exactly what's going on with the refinery. I don't know if Bruce can answer the questions we're going to ask him, but we're going to ask him anyway, and we'll see what he says. So stay with us. We'll come back here on the it's not the Horizon Construction Coaches Show. It's on Cushing Matters. It's going to tell you that we're watching the Coaches Show, but don't pay any attention to that. Come back and watch us anyway. Stay tuned here in just a minute.
Thank you for watching Cushing Matters. This has been a Hub Network production. We now join the commission meeting in progress. Thank you for watching Coach's Corner, sponsored by Horizon Construction. Coach's Corner will be right back after these messages.
RCB Bank is more than a transaction. We work to make your life easier. We help build your business. We finance your dreams. We grow your legacy. We build relationships with our communities. Come in to find out why our customers always say, RCB Bank. That's my bank.
At Davis Dental Studio, our patients are our friends. Unlike the big commercial facilities, Davis Dental Studios wants you to know you're not just a number. We strive to bring personal and quality service to each patient. Dr. Rebecca Davis has over 18 years of experience as a caring and compassionate dentist. She and her highly trained staff will make sure your visit is a positive one. So remember, when you and your family need dental care, Davis Dental Studio. You're not just a patient, you're a friend.
Since 2003, Pro Events has had one singular focus: great audio, video, and lighting systems. Never confusing our industry with the PC crowd, Pro Events always provides you with the best, most reliable options for your house of worship, school, or corporate training facility. Make your system stand out from the crowd. And remember,
for the best AV, you know where to go visit proevents.pro.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
It is done. So we're back. All right. We're back here with Bruce. We're having an interesting conversation, as always. The conversation is always interesting in the commercial breaks. We get a chance to kind of visit about things and talk about a few other things. And so I'm going to get John's opinion back in here in just a minute. But Bruce, you were just talking about the far-reaching effect of all this economic activity. You mentioned that you've never quite seen it like this for a town our size. And I mean, your phone's been ringing off the wall. And tell us about your TikTok experience.
Yeah, it's when we made the announcement in March, there's a lot of people that were wanting additional information. And so I remember scrolling through TikTok one night, just relaxing the mind because that's kind of everybody's form of entertainment now. And there was a gentleman on there named Mr. Global, and he's a kind of an oil and natural gas influencer. He lives in the state of Oklahoma, but he does a really good job of explaining in detail with in brevity about exactly what the facts are when it comes to oil and natural gas. And so he and I literally reached out to each other through TikTok and kind of started a conversation about the refinery, about Cushing, about the oil and natural gas market, where it is now, where we see it going. And he called me on this morning on my commute over, and he said he wanted to come over. So he'll be in here into Cushing next Tuesday with some of his business partners, and we'll probably get tens of thousands of views on TikTok. So look him up. It's Mr. Global, and hopefully he can get out some information to all of his followers out there.
Well, that's just kind of the way it goes on social media, but the far-reaching effects, I mean, we would have never guessed that. You would have never guessed that 10 years ago that something like that would be influential in Cushing or bring other people in to even look at where we are, who we are, what we're doing, all that kind of stuff. So it's just more interest. Yeah,
I would have never have guessed that I would have reached out to anybody over TikTok in order to do some economic development activities. But here we are, and that's what today's day and age is that I never knew I was going to have a computer in my pocket when I was growing up, and now all of us are carrying around one, and we can pretty much reach anyone in the world at any point in time.
Absolutely. We got enough power to go to the moon based on what they had back in 1969. So. John, how do you relate to all that kind of stuff and how things are kind of moving here in Cushing?
Well, I just wonder how many followers you got on TikTok.
I don't have anything but my family, but he has tens of thousands. It's amazing.
Yeah, you're right about those influencers. TikTok's a big deal. I look at it quite a bit. It's all over the board from all over the globe. It's a pretty big stage. It and YouTube both. So that whole social media is the way we do business now. It wasn't that many years ago that if it wasn't word of mouth or by the local newspaper, you didn't hear about it. Now people have access to the world. So that's pretty cool. And it's also neat that you're getting calls from all over the place and bringing attention to Cushing. I just personally think that Cushing's one of the greatest places to do business and to live. So, maybe by TikTok, the whole world will think that too.
Well, it wasn't too long ago that we would have been begging for any of that kind of attention. I mean, 10 years ago, we wouldn't have thought necessarily this kind of thing was going on. I guess maybe the tank farms were coming in and we were have that experience, but this has even blown up to be so much bigger than that. I mean, it just shows how that changes over time and how the tank farms have an influence on what Cushing is today.
Yeah, it's a very simple concept is that everybody that I speak to, whether it's representatives or it's partners or it's someone brand new that I'm introducing them to Cushing and our history and who we are and what we're all about, is that all we want to do is add value, is that we have an incredible asset that pretty much encompasses all of North America's energy fields. And it comes through Cushing. We want to stop it, add value to it, create a product, send it out to the rest of the world, and bring that money back so we have jobs and we have the cash to flow around our community to help support everybody that's already here and the new ones that will be coming in that'll have, like you said, those degrees and that white collar to go out there and help us lead us into the future and make us as high quality of life and reach Cushing's potential, which is that something that we all strive for personally, but at the end of the day, every community has that height limit that is set for itself, and we just have to realize it because there's nowhere else in Oklahoma right now that you can have a school district which is giving your kids the opportunities that are 3 times more than other school districts, as we've stated here. But then you can also drive to Tulsa and Oklahoma City in an hour, see a show, see an NBA game, come back right here, still know your neighbors, still know the person that's babysitting your kids while you ran to Tulsa or Oklahoma City that night. That just gives us an opportunity to have as high a quality of life in rural Oklahoma as anybody. And for me personally, I love rural Oklahoma for that reason, is that you can live, work, and play and still know your neighbors. And at the end of the night, when your kids are out playing, and those kids can tell you, hey, I'm out with X, Y, or Z, and you know exactly if they're doing something good or something bad just by who X, Y, and Z is.
Right. And you're kind of, right now we're kind of in that utopian kind of place here where we're still small enough, but yet we're starting to get a little bit bigger. We're starting to look at what expansion looks like, and so that's the hard part, right? That growth, that we'll probably do some growing pains there a little bit, but we've been planning for the things like the Highway 18 expansion, the super highway that's going in from here to 51 and beyond, I think. But we've already planned for infrastructure on that. We've already planned for more power on the east side of Cushing, some other things like that. We're improving our infrastructure so that we're not caught off guard as much as maybe we have been in the past. So we're looking at all that stuff.
Yeah, and the state of Oklahoma is helping us out. I mean, with the Highway 33 renovation that's through our town, hopefully getting finished up here right around the first of the year. But go drive west of Perkins right now. There's a lot of preparation that's going to make that a 4-lane all the way from 35 into Perkins. And so really the only thing that will be a 2-lane is just going to be Perkins to Cushing. But to be able to have truck traffic and have the ability to pass and make a convenient trip into Cushing from either 44 or 35 make us a heck of a difference.
Absolutely.
And it's going to make that difference for decades to come.
And that'll bring a lot of different opportunity, retail to entertainment to everything else here in Cushing, which we've already seen an expansion of a little bit. But I just think we're on the precipice of a few of these things getting over the hump a little bit more, and we're going to see some real growth as we even more substantial than what we've been seeing immediately.
Yeah, and that's all part of the process. Is that first we had to make ourselves known. Once we made ourselves known, then we had to go out there and assure people that we could produce what we said we could produce. So now we're getting the announcements. Now that we made those announcements, we're all in a hurry to see the dirt turned and the facilities erected. And I'm just as impatient as everybody else, but I also know what's going on behind the scenes for the most part. And I know all the discussions that are going on and all the information being exchanged to make sure that when they are constructed, it's appropriate and that it's done right, and it's something that's not going to be something that's going to be a drag on our community, but something that's going to be a positive force and something that's going to contribute to everybody's health and welfare.
Well, that is the perfect segue to lead right into talking a little bit more about the refinery. I want to ask you the questions now. I had a phone call just before the show. Somebody kind of saying, "Well, I think we might have an idea, maybe where the refinery is going to go." I said, "Well, I have no idea. I sure don't know. If you know, you're ahead of me, but it may not be too hard to be ahead of me. I've been so busy lately. I don't even know." I'm lucky to know who we're playing next week in football, so I don't even know very much. But it was mentioned to me that maybe there's a rumor about 3500 and 750 Road, somewhere out that way.
Okay.
Does any of that ring a bell, or is it anything you can talk about?
It doesn't ring a bell to me because I've tried to stay out of that portion of it. There are some negotiations going on with acreage for a location, but I also know that I'm working on a second and third location. So
Gotcha.
I don't want to lose the project because we have property owners that either don't want to sell because for whatever reason they don't want to sell, or the fact that they just may be asking too much for the property as compared to what a market rate is.
Right.
So yeah, I'm working on second and third locations for it. As I tell everybody, is that getting oil around Cushing is not the problem. We can get it here from all of North America, so circulating it around Cushing is not going to be an issue. So hopefully there's going to be a location that helps out and is finalized. And I think for the last 2 months, for the number of emails and phone calls I've got, I've told everybody, just relax. Relax until the first of the year. Then if you don't hear any announcements about property acquisition or where they're at in getting their air permit. Then we'll have another conversation about exactly where is this project at, where is it going. But as of right now, I don't expect too much to happen before the first of the year and too many announcements to be made before then. So if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for a bid process, if you're looking for anything in respect to the project, you're probably not going to hear it because as of right now, there are a lot of conversations and negotiations going on behind the scenes about where is it going to be, who is going to be the additional partners, who's going to be building what parts of the facility. All that kind of stuff is still being talked about, and we still have to go through the governmental process of getting the permit. So.
Right, and that's my next question. Where are we at on the permit process? I know we talked back in June that possibly that was going to be started, but that process is a long process itself, so it's going to move slower than we want it to. I'm sure.
Yeah, it is, but that's the way all government work is. So, but I do know that there's been several trips to Washington, D.C. I know there's been conversations with Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality concerning the project, and we have a lot of representatives both on the state and federal level that are completely in support of the project. So I think they're going to help us anytime there may be a hiccup or a hurdle or a hula hoop we have to jump through. But there's a lot of support from Oklahoma in order to see this facility built.
Well, I know when you talk about going all the way up to the governorship and having support there, obviously, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, you want this to be beneficial for Oklahoma and for Cushing, obviously, as well. And you can't blame people for being a little excited and a little wound up about, gosh, I want to be the first one to know where that's going. So I have to do my due diligence and at least ask you, Bruce. I figured you probably couldn't tell me, but I should ask you anyway.
Yeah, so. But there's a lot of great families out there that are generations in the refining business or the production side, and they're all very excited to see this go in because they remember what it was like being in the car, getting dropped off at school, or getting picked up from school, driving by, getting dad at the Hudson refinery, then going back home and getting some dinner and talking about everybody's day. That's part of Cushing's assets that I present to other people, is that you can't go anywhere else in the United States except for probably one part of Louisiana where people have the knowledge of decades of people being in and around the refining business.
Right.
We have that expertise, we have the knowledge, we have the sights, the smells, the hearing of all that goes into that. And one of the examples that I give to people is that there was a full-page article about one of the new vaporizers at the Hudson a long time ago, and that was big community news, which means that another part of the plant was being expanded, which means what, another couple of executives or 10 or 20 new employees that are going to be hired on because they needed to run that part of the facility. Right. And those are the types of experiences that other people don't think about, but I give as examples when they come to the community on a site visit and show them is that this is our life, this has been our life, and we're very familiar with it. So when you come into our community, it's not as if you have to train us to know what to look for, how to look for it, or how to experience anything when it comes to the oil energy market.
Well, and sometimes we know that all too well. That works on the other side of the sword too, which is we understand some of the disappointments that happen and some of the things that fall through. It's an up and down business, kind of the oil business is, and everybody kind of understands that here. And so I think that's the reason you have most of the cautious optimism. They err on the side of cautiousness because they don't want to get their hopes up and be hurt and stuff. So you can understand some of that from the citizens' point of view. John, what's your take on it? You had your ear to the ground a little bit around, and what do you know about things that have developed with the refinery over the last few months?
Well, that's the big question on everybody's mind. Where's it going to be? And working in a major company myself, I can just tell you that whenever the people just need to have some little patience, and then eventually there'll be a groundbreaking. When they have a groundbreaking, they can have some punch and cake, and they'll tell them all about it. So it's just like I tell people, we haven't built a refinery in 40 years in this country. So there's a lot of components to that. There's a lot of people on board, a lot of government agencies, and it takes time, and it has to be done, and it has to be done correctly. So, patience is the key. Relax, and it's going to be good. So we got very well educated, very smart people that are going to build something here that has not been built before, and so it's going to be a industry leading type of refinery, which is what we need. So, it's all good. Just patience is the key.
Well, and it is the key, and it's hard sometimes because we hear these announcements, we hear all this stuff, and then the first thing that everybody says, well, I'll believe it when I see it, and we would all agree with that. We want to see the shovels turn and the dirt move, right? And then we'll kind of know something. But this is part of the process, though. This is part of the way things go. The negotiations have to happen. It has to get all the proper permits. We have to build the thing right. We can't build things that are unsafe for the community or things that won't last for the community. We don't want things to be short term. And we're talking 20, 30 years would be short term for this. So we want something that goes 50 or 100 years down the road and really propels this community forward. So that is the kind of stuff that you're working on, and your process, you're just used to it running. Big wheels turn slowly, and that's just kind of the way it goes in your business, right?
It is, but luckily, we've had a lot more contacts over the last probably 6 months now. Is that the amount of phone calls that I field, amount of information that I'm giving out right now is as much as I've ever had in my career. But there's just a lot of people right now that are wanting to take that next transitional step from the old energy to new energy, to take advantage of the technologies. And there's a great point right now. We haven't built one here in this country in nearly 50 years now. And so that means that inertia has stopped. And
Absolutely.
It's very hard to get that to move forward. But we also have the mindset in this community, is kind of like the Ted Lasso mindset, is that, we just want to go out there and do it, and we want to win, and we want to succeed, and we want to do it the right way. So there's at no point in time have anyone ever stopped me on the street and said, stop doing what you're doing. We don't want to see Cushing grow. We don't want to see Cushing better itself. We don't want a higher quality of life for our kids. We want to take advantage of all those monies that are out there that people are right now looking at bringing into our community.
Absolutely. Let's talk about what that technology is for the new refinery a little bit, because we haven't mentioned that too much. But this is a hydrogen operated plant, if I have that right. And kind of explain to us what the difference there is and why this should be appealing as building a new refinery because of what it puts out in emissions and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's. I think that you mentioned people who sat on either side of the aisle, and that's what the conversations we've had for both people who sit on the left and the right now is this is the perfect transitional project that takes advantage of the technology that are out there. You're right, there's going to be hydrogen components, there's going to be carbon sequestration components, there's probably going to be solar components, there's probably going to be some geothermal components. So there's a lot of technologies out there right now that are already being utilized that they're just putting in and around the refinery itself in order to make it, one, more efficient, and number two, as you stated, that there's just less pollution from this facility. And finally is that there's a lot of credits out there for those types of technologies. And matter of fact, on the Inflation Reduction Act and the private activity bonds we did, they said there could be 4 times as amount of bonds available to you just because there is a portion of that's carbon sequestration. I got a call this week from a company that is looking to do some hydrogen production, want to take advantage of that same Inflation Reduction Act and private activity bonds. And I was like going, okay, well, come on over, we'll have a conversation. And I'm still waiting on their visit, but they sent me some information last week, and it's amazing. The technologies that go into it, but also just how much funding is needed in order to get those things off the ground.
Absolutely.
And the conversations I've had, besides, hey, look at us if you're a refinery and you want to take advantage of all of our light sweet crude, but also at some point in time, the state of Oklahoma has already had a committee. They've already had further discussions with companies from not only Oklahoma, but from around the world, because I've been in those meetings, that at some point in time, we're going to have to pick out where the hydrogen hub is in Oklahoma. And as of right now, I'm trying to position Cushing that when the state of Oklahoma or the federal government decides to incentivize and or grant monies out there for people to build out hydrogen infrastructure, I'd like to see it here. Again, that's going to be billions in capital and thousands of jobs that come along with that industry.
Absolutely, and those are all things that we have to work on right now as far as the city infrastructure goes, housing, all the other stuff that goes along with it that surrounds that, so that people can live here and have the quality of life that we're talking about. Ultimately, it's about improving the quality of life for citizens here in Cushing and in the state. And to do that is no small task. I mean, it just takes a lot of work, years at it. You guys have been spending years at this this process, getting this momentum going. And I know that Terry and the people at City Hall are doing the same in order to look as far forward as they can and do the things that are practical and necessary to move us into the next 15, 20, 25 years down the road.
Yeah, and I try not to make this as complex as this, is that if we're not growing, we're having a lower quality of life because the amount of money that it takes to maintain our infrastructure, pay our employees, continues to expand on a yearly basis.
Sure.
So we have a stable or a finite amount of numbers, which is us paying in to pay for that infrastructure and pay for those employees. It's going to cost us all more. Absolutely. So we need to expand the pie so we're all getting more pie.
Right. And the pie, it's not just an infinite amount of pie or a limited amount of pie. It's really more infinite, and we can see that growth coming. So that's very important to know. I think John. Any thoughts on anything else here that we've seen in economic development and development here in Cushing that you know of?
No, I think Bruce is absolutely right. You got to keep growing, and Cushing has always, in my opinion, been a little bit ahead of a lot of communities in our quality of life we've had here. I mean, where else can a kid go and play? Go to any surrounding town and say, hey, if your child wants to play baseball or football, where else can they do that for $1? You know, the Aqua Center that was built here. So our community has always put a high value on quality of life. And so, there's bright times ahead for our kids. The future is bright for Cushing, and so it just don't get any better than that.
Absolutely, and we know that the school system plays a lot into that, and we know that these ad valorem tax dollars, which don't come out of necessarily all out of our own pockets, this is industry coming around that's putting more into the schools and makes our own property more valuable because there's more here. That ultimately puts money back in our pocket, right? Puts money back in the citizens' pocket, and so those investments are important. And Bruce, we appreciate your work you've been doing on that, and I know it's a long, hard road sometimes, and sometimes it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but now we're getting some pretty good activity going on, and that's pretty exciting to see. So
it is. I appreciate you having me and the ability to go out there and serve the citizens of Cushing.
Absolutely. Well, John, hey, thank you very much for being on with us too. We appreciate your insight, and maybe next time we're going to get all of the master panel back on here, Marilyn and Trevor as well with you, John, but we certainly appreciate your availability and all the insight that you've been able to give. It's very much appreciated from our end as well, and I know that the citizens of Cushing enjoy watching and hearing what you have to say and learning more about what's going on in the city.
Well, I appreciate it. I learned as much on the show as everybody else, so thanks for hosting that and doing that.
Absolutely. We're glad to do it. And again, thank you to Terry Brandon for coming on. He would have come on live with us tonight, and again, Ricky Lofton would have come on live as the chairman, but they had an OMAG meeting earlier today and could not be available until the commission meeting. So the commission meeting is about to start here in just a few minutes. We're going to take a quick commercial break and switch over to that, and we'll come back. Bruce, again, thank you so much for coming in. We'll do it again sometime, and we appreciate all the information, appreciate the updates, and thanks for working hard for the city.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. We'll see everybody next time on Cushing Matters. We're coming up as the commission meeting. Stay tuned.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Cushing Matters. This has been a Hub Network production. We now join the commission meeting in progress. Stay with us on the Tiger Football Live Coaches Show, Coach's Corner, with head coach Rusty Morgan. Coach's Corner will be right back after these messages.
RCB Bank is more than a transaction. We work to make your life easier. We help build your business. We finance your dreams. We grow your legacy. We build relationships with our communities. Come in to find out why our customers always say, RCB Bank. That's my bank.
Since 2003, Pro Events has had one singular focus: great audio, video, and lighting systems. Never confusing our industry with the PC crowd, Pro Events always provides you with the best, most reliable options for your house of worship, school, or corporate training facility. Make your system stand out from the crowd. And remember,
for the best AV, you know where to go visit proevents.pro.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening.
One nation
and
under
I'm making
God.
progress, and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility.
And justice for all.
This patient.
Hang on now. We almost lost our attorney. Her get on you? Yeah. Get on you? At least I wasn't in it, right? You all right? Yeah. The Lord's mighty. We generally just do that to new commissioners. Item 1D, a proclamation declare October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Sorry. Proclamation. Whereas the City of Cushing encourages positive action on the part of the community by supporting Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month is designed to support victims of domestic violence in their time of greatest need, and whereas unhealthy relationships can have a lifelong negative impact on personal health, and whereas we can break the cycle of domestic violence before it starts by equipping families with skills and healthy relationships, and whereas parents, community leaders, civic organizations, and schools are an integral part of providing safe, healthy, and positive support for survivors, and whereas assisting survivors is not just an investment in their future, it's an investment in Cushing, Oklahoma for generations to come. Now, therefore, we recognize the need and support domestic violence survivors in Cushing and hereby declare October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. In witness that whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the great seal of the City of Cushing, Oklahoma, to be affixed this 16th day of October 2023. All right. Here you go. You bet. Thank you. You want to get up here and talk a little bit about
I'll give you a little
the Wings of Hope?
Yes, sir. Hi, my name is Leilani Moreland, and I am the brand strategist at Wings of Hope Family Crisis Services. It's a domestic violence shelter, and my job is to create awareness in our community. Some of you may be aware of our services, and especially the law enforcement. Our mission is to break the cycle of violence by providing safety, hope, and empowerment for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking. We believe that everyone has the right to live without fear, abuse, oppression, and violence. Our service area is Payne County, Logan, Lincoln, Pawnee, and Noble, while we often help statewide. We have emergency safe sheltering, individual and group counseling, 24-hour crisis line, victim advocacy, a sexual assault response team, children's programs, safe babies court team, access to legal aid, protective orders, and a batterers intervention program. We also have intern and volunteer opportunities as well. October is recognized as Domestic Violence Awareness, and it's sad to say that Oklahoma leads the nation in domestic violence cases. That's why intervention services like shelters, hotlines, counseling are vital for our communities statewide. Raising awareness and supporting victims are key in breaking the cycle. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Item 2, public input and unscheduled personal appearances.
Mr. Chairman, I did not receive any communication from any citizens regarding any concerns or potential appearances here before the board tonight.
Okay. Item 3, consent agenda. 3A, approved claims and payroll totaling $794,005.19. 3B, approved minutes, September 18th, 2023, regular. 3C, authorize the purchase of aviation fuel and expend up to $60,000. 3D, authorize the purchase of no-lead fuel and diesel fuel and expend up to $30,000. 3E, approve payment to the Oklahoma Municipal Management Services in the amount of $4,443.75 for payment of invoice number 15908 for inspection services. 3F, approve payment to TKO Equipment Sales and Rental LLC in the amount of $5,600 for demolition and clearing of structure located at 224.5 West Moses. 3G, authorize the city manager to issue a purchase order to Peyton Transmission LLC in the amount up to $7,800 for the replacement of the transmission in Fire Department Ambulance 3 and authorize payment. 3H, authorize the city manager to issue a purchase order to Mills Construction and Welding in the amount up to $5,910 for the clearing of property north of the runway at the airport and to authorize payment. 3I, statement of cash and investments as of September 30th, 2023. Would any commissioner like to remove or have a short discussion about any item on the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Have a motion from Mr. Robertson.
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Orton.
Yes.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. 5, general business. 5A, presentation and acceptance of fiscal year 2022-2023 City of Cushing audit. Mr. Crooks. Yes.
I am Chuck Crooks. I'm with CBEW Professional Group. I want to thank you again for the opportunity to work on your audit. The audit itself, we give various opinions. So we give an opinion in the auditor's report itself on the financial statements. So we give, if you read it just basically says it's a clean opinion. It's a direct reflection of the City of Cushing on the GAAP basis of accounting. Our other opinions are on the letter in the very back of the book, or on internal control and compliance in the areas that we've tested and looked at. And if we had any findings behind it, it would give you some findings, and there are no findings listed. That very back page says no findings found, so we had no problems with internal control compliance. I'm always appreciative coming here because, they put us first when we get here, the staff and everyone. They make sure they provide everything we need and require for the audit. Mr. Brand, Mr. Griffith will also take me around and view the very areas of the town where you've done improvements, you've got spent capital money. We want to make sure that actually exists and so forth, and that's what shows up on the financial statements. Do you have questions of me regarding the audit?
Anybody have any questions? I was thankful to see a clean audit.
Oh, yeah. It is a clean audit. There are just a couple differences this year. The OPEB, you revalue that every 3 years, so that went on there. So if you saw it's like a $3.7 million change in the OPEB liability, and that's just in the government-wide financials for that GAAP presentation. And then your pensions are evaluated every year. They had the opposite effect. They had a $3.8 million change the other direction or something. So their net effect was almost a zero as far as on the overall financial statements there. The only other thing is, you had the new bond issue through the school. Well, the new regulations, you don't present that in the audit report other than in the notes themselves to show that because it's not the city's debt. But since the city is doing a conduit debt situation, it just shows up in the notes to the financials rather than on the financials themselves. So that's just, a presentation thing, and it looks a little different than it probably has in the past. But that's where it is, and that's where it's located. So,
anybody have any questions?
No.
You got off the hook easy tonight.
Short and sweet's great. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the presentation and acceptance of fiscal year 2022-23 City of Cushing audit.
I have a motion from Ms. Dow to approve 5A. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Robertson. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, 5B, discussion and action on a 5-year review for a conditional use permit issued on property located at 617 North Depot. Does anybody have any further discussion about that? No. Or comment?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just add that the Planning Commission made a positive recommendation to extend the conditional use permit another 5 years. The property was found to be in order, as you can see by the photographs. No one appeared in that particular hearing, but they did offer to recommend to the board a positive recommendation for another 5-year CPU.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, based on the Planning Commission's recommendation, I would move we approve item 5B.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Robertson to approve 5B. I have a second from Mr. Orton. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 5C, discussion and action on a 5-year review for conditional use permit issued on property located at 914 South Noble.
Mr. Chairman, this follows the same recommendation from the Planning Commission to recommend a continuation of the current CPU for an extension of 5 years. Mrs. Arnold did appear at that hearing. She is here tonight. If you have any questions, the photographs that are contained in your packet are also was the evidence presented at the hearing with the favorable recommendation from staff as well. Caleb Dawes from Community Development is here as well. If there's any additional questions from either.
Make a motion to approve item 5C.
I have a motion from Ms. Dow to approve 5C.
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Robertson. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 5D, authorize the city manager to issue a letter of intent to the Oklahoma Opioid Abatement Board giving notice of our intent to seek an opioid abatement grant through the Oklahoma Office of the Attorney General and authorize the city manager to execute any other related documents necessary with the application, issuance, and/or acceptance of a grant if awarded.
Mr. Chairman, this is a remarkable opportunity from the Oklahoma Attorney General's office with the opioid settlement at $23 million. The Oklahoma Attorney General's Office, through OML, contacted numerous entities that are obviously members of OML, asked to submit letters of interest if there was interest from our city in filing for a grant, and the answer to that question is yes. We believe there's some opportunities for additional public education. We believe there's some opportunities which create engagement. We also believe there's some opportunities for training for public safety personnel to include police and fire. We also believe that there's some potential opportunities to work on abatement of opioids. So this is just giving us permission to file notice with the Attorney General that we intend to make application for a grant. There's no guarantee that the grant will be issued.
Any questions for the city manager? If not, I would entertain a motion.
So move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Orton. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Yep.
Ms. Dow? I have a second from Ms. Dow. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Number 6A, resolution number 15-2023, a resolution authorizing participation in the OMAG recognition program. This is sort of self-explanatory. This is what we just went through before the meeting tonight. Does anybody have any further questions or comments?
I move for its adoption.
I have a motion from Mr. Orton to approve 6A. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Robertson. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 6B, resolution 16-2023, a resolution adopting the governing body best practices handbook for the City of Cushing Board of Commissioners, Cushing Municipal Authority Board of Trustees, Cushing Hospital Authority Board of Trustees, Cushing Industrial Authority Board of Trustees, and the Cushing Educational Facilities Authority Board of Trustees. This is just sort of more of the same. We're just adopting the handbook. Does anybody have any comments or questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve item 6B.
I have a motion from Mr. Robertson to approve 6B. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Orton. Any further comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 6C, resolution number 17-2023, a resolution authorizing the chairman, Board of Commissioners, to execute a modification to the intergovernmental agreement with the U.S. Department of Justice, U.S. Marshal Service.
Mr. Chairman, this is actually good news for the town. I think going back to what Commissioner Brannion alluded to a couple meetings ago, when we sought a possible agreement with Immigration and Customs, but this is a request to extend the agreement with the U.S. Marshal Service until 2025. A 2-year agreement that would start actually October 1st. When the Marshal Service sent this to me, I told them there was no way that we could get a signature as fast as they wanted it, and they went concurrence in delaying it until this meeting. So this action simply continues what we're doing now. They also added a 2.5% increase in the per diem that they're paying per inmate there. You'll also see how that breaks down for us on the next page. But this is a good thing for Cushing in terms of its continued job opportunities, etc.
Okay. Any further questions for the city manager?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve resolution number 17-2023.
Have a motion from Mr. Robertson to approve 6C. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Dow. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. 6D, Resolution Number 18-2023, a resolution authorizing the Chairman, Board of Commissioners, to execute a First Amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Cushing and Core Civic, Inc.
Mr. Chairman, this is simply a continuation of our agreement as a conduit for the U.S. Marshal Service. In handling the agreement with the Marshal Service, there's a lot of administrative work that takes place behind the scenes. Darla Huckabee here serves as our treasurer. She handles all the ACHing and transferring of funds around because the payments come into us. She transfers them back out to Core Civic. There's a small, well, it's not a small, there's a lot of administrative invoices that come to my office. And I sign those, and then that's what generates the payment that ultimately is electronically wired to Mrs. Huckabee. So we asked for an increase in the administrative fee, and we received a 2% increase. And so you can see how that is calculated with the special typing that is in Section 10 of that agreement. So would entertain any questions?
I make a motion to approve resolution number 18-2023. 18-2023.
I have a motion from Ms. Dow to approve 6D.
Second.
Second from Mr. Robertson. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Item 7, other new business, if any, which has arisen since the posting of the agenda and could not have been anticipated prior to the time of posting. 25 OS 311-9.
We don't have any, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Item 8, city managers communication.
All right, just a couple really quick things. I think some really good news. Our walking trail is complete with the exception of some very simple punch list items. There's some railing that's going to go on that's actually being manufactured now here locally. There's also some other really small things that will have to be addressed, but the trail is 99.95% completed. So really happy about that. Hope that you all are happy about the finished product there. When I come to work every morning about 6:30, there's people already out there on the trail making great use of the lighting that's out there. So really appreciate the cooperation of a local company actually getting involved in that process, which was Starks Electric. So really appreciate Mike and his team, Mike Sr. and his team getting involved in that process and keeping some of those dollars local. There's been a lot of questions about the fall cleanup. We do have a fall cleanup date set. We'll release that here in a couple of weeks. We didn't want to release it a month early to all of a sudden you have the entire town junked up. So that's the truth. But we'll get that date released, but it is set for some time in November, but we'll get that date out to everyone soon. We felt like our town hall went well. We thought that the attendance was really good. We really appreciated Stephen Ward being here, Laura Bagley from Guernsey being here as well, with some members of her team, as well as Chad Greiser with PEC. So appreciated those presenters being here. Appreciated Dr. Melissa Amon for allowing us to use the auditorium, as well as Bruce Johnson for his behind the scenes work and helping get that organized. So, and then our staff here who helped on our side of the house. So really appreciate that. And probably the big one I'm sure that we're all interested in is what's the status of the power plant. Set some great news there. Cooper Bessemer has been here working on Unit 10. Unit 10 is expected to be started, Derek, is about the 27th.
Correct, startup is 27th.
So that engine is expected to be started on the 27th to make sure all systems are all go. Fairby arrived. They started work on Unit 7, and Unit 7 should have been completed last week, and then they were going to take a short break, go back to Nebraska, come back, and start working on Unit 8. So we're making a lot of good headway there. I think the big challenge that we're really having right now is trying to develop a maintenance consultant. We desperately need a maintenance consultant, and so we're one of the few places that don't have a true mechanic that's housed there. And in the power plant, all that stuff has been done by the people that work there, and that hasn't worked out too well for us as of late. And so we're really pushing Cooper Bessemer to come back to us with some type of consultation recommendation that they can give us, that they come back at least every quarter, every 6 months to do system checks for. We're having some mechanical issues. maybe get something agreed upon early to get those hourly rates locked in, so we don't, pay exorbitant charges in an emergency, if you will. So those are all things that are still being worked on behind the scenes, but certainly things that are on the table. Syscool has already been here. Our cooling tower award winner in terms of its bid, they've already been here and done a site inspection, so that process is underway. So a lot of good things are happening at the power plant versus where we were, 5, 6, 7 months ago. So it's been a long, expensive process getting there. So we'll entertain any questions if you have any. Our report is there. The report this month is like 17 pages long, so it's pretty extensive. So it's just some highlights of different things we've had going on here.
I have one question. Will the fall cleanup be curbside pickup, or will it be delivery only to the transfer?
No, it will include both. Commissioner Roberson, it'll have a bulk cleanup area on the curb, a 4x4 area, traditionally what we've done for the last few years, and then we'll have continuous availability at the transfer station from Monday through Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions? All right. Commissioners, community announcement. Tyson, we're going to start at the other end.
Thank you for the opportunity. I don't have any.
Ms. Dow?
Well, I would like to thank the city staff for the work that goes into preparation for the audit in order for us to have a clean audit. That is greatly appreciated. I know that is a lot of time, effort, and what you do throughout the year makes it come out nicely. And I'd like just to make sure I have the date right. When is our airport fly-in? Is that this week?
Airport flying this weekend, Mike?
Yes, yeah, so Saturday from 9 to 5 and Sunday from 10 to 3.
Okay, we need to remember that as a community. That's always a big draw. So thank you, that's it.
Yeah, just a couple. Just want to remind everyone that Cushing Pride Recycling will be this Sunday, as it usually takes place every other Sunday from regular times, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. So if you have recycling, bring it out Sunday. The city manager mentioned the Cushing Forward project that is a year-long, if not year and a half long project that we're undertaking. It's the step one of that is collect information. So this process will not be successful unless we have the community provide information during this process. So as I understand it, we have surveys that we still need filled out. We have, I think, just under 200 surveys have been submitted in our town that has a population of 8,400 people. So I believe we need at least 375 surveys. So if you have not filled out that survey, please go online and do that. It will help tremendously in this process, and we need as much public input as possible in that process. I want to thank OMAG representatives for being here, for the training they provided to us in our earlier meeting at 5:30. It was very beneficial. They provided some best practices overview to the commission, which we had done. When was the last time we did that? I think it was
2019.
2019. So it was a great refresher and great opportunity for those who did not participate to have some perspective on the right way to run our meetings and the right way to govern as an elected official. So it's very helpful. And I just want to echo what Commissioner to the right of me, Commissioner Dow had and thanks city staff for their hard work and working with CBEW on the audit. That's a big undertaking, so thank you for your work on that. And that's all. Thank you.
Me. I would just like to say thank you to all the city employees that keep this town running and answer the phones when there need be, and dispatch fire and police, and then all the water and electric and all those things that go on. And I would like to remind everybody that in probably a week or so we're going to have Halloween. There's going to be a lot of children out, and sometimes they don't wait for mom and daddy. They just run, so be mindful of that. Be careful. We're going to have a good Halloween, and God bless you.
I want to reiterate just what everybody else said. Thanks to the city staff for getting us clean audits. We've had a clean audit ever since I've been here, and I would expect nothing different from all the great people we have that work here, and it's really appreciated. And I know you all are not probably told enough from Darla and Jericho, all down department heads, and Diane and Issy and several of y'all I see out here in the audience. Thank you very much for doing what you do. Deb, see you back there. Even Brent and Chuck. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. I also like to talk about the Cushing Forward Open House. The city will be hosting an open house at the Cushing Public Safety Center on Thursday, November 9th, 2023 from 5:30 to 7:30. We hope you all will come out and help Cushing plan its future. To learn more, you can go to cushingforward.com. And this is very important for everybody to do. The people that like to gripe are many of the people that, you know, and things don't go their way, and then they, well, you know, I have no input on it. Well, if you don't do this, there's no input, or you have no voice. I mean, this is your chance to make your voice, and we do listen. We all listen. Can we always fix everything? No, we can't, you know, but we can do our best to try to address what everybody talks about and see if we can fix it and see if it is possible. So it's very important to do this. So anyway, that's all I have. I need a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Orton. A second, Mr. Robertson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Now, it is 7:30. We're going to go to the Board of Trustees, Cushing Municipal Authority. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Mr. Robertson?
Present.
Mr. Branion?
Here.
Ms. Dow?
Present.
Mr. Orton?
Present.
Chairman Lofton?
Present. We do have a quorum. Item 2, any public input or unscheduled personal appearances?
We do not have any, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Item 3A, consent agenda. Approved claims and payroll totaling $1,569,522.92. 3B, approved minutes, September 18th, 2023, regular. Order to Virginia Transformer Corp. in an amount up to $7,652 for a new LTC motor for the Harmony Substation Transformer and to authorize payment. 3E, authorize the city manager to amend and increase contract CU-22-12M with Techline Inc. of Austin, Texas by $25,000 for additional wire for the Harmony Substation project, creating a new contract total of $309,432.98 and to authorize payment. 3F, authorize the city manager to execute a change order in an amount up to $30,913.83 with Cooper Machinery Services to cause the continuance of work to be performed for the repair of unit number 10 at the Cushing Power Production Plant and to authorize payment. 3G, approve payment to the GRDA in the amount of $44,195.89 for mutual aid assistance related to storm damage. 3H, recognize non-pay utility report for the city operations and public facilities for 9/30/23 billing period. 3I, recognize statement of cash and investments as of September 30th, 2023. Would any trustee like an item removed from the consent agenda or a short explanation?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion from Mr. Robertson to approve the consent agenda. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Trustee Orton. Any other discussion? Not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 5A, general business, presentation and acceptance of the fiscal year 2022-2023 Cushing Municipal Authority audit.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve item 5A. Accept item 5A. Accept
Second.
the fiscal year. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Have a motion from Mr. Robertson.
A second.
A second from Ms. Dow. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 5B, authorize the city manager to issue a letter of bid rejection through our engineer of record, professional engineering consultants to Downey Contracting regarding the clarifier vault piping replacement at the water production plant.
Mr. Chairman, this was the second bid that we had, bid opportunity we had put out there for this project at the water production plant. And as it turns out, in the first bid process, we received 0 bids. We did the second bid process. We received 1 bid from Downey Contracting. That bid was for $655,975. When we opened up the engineer's estimate, it was $75,000. So it was a 1,000% difference in what the contractor was bidding versus what the engineer projected. And of course, as you can see in the cover sheet, there was a lot of back work that went on to make sure there wasn't something that we were missing. And so the engineer delved into it. James Landis is here, our water production superintendent. They both delved into that bid. And as you can see, we got some information back from them, but some we didn't. So we really don't know what was driving their costs. And so we've had a secondary contractor that did not bid on the project, but was aware of the project that has come and shown some interest in it. And so there may be an opportunity that we come back to you with something. I don't know what that something is going to be just yet, but we certainly don't want to accept that bid. It's completely outrageous.
Anybody have any further questions for the city manager?
I'd just like to thank you for giving further explanation, because it was pretty astronomical when you see those numbers. And due diligence to the city is just to say no.
Absolutely. And that's why we put so much information in the executive summary.
And given that, I make a motion to approve item 5B.
I have a motion from Ms. Dow to approve 5B. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Robertson. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 6A, resolution number 13-2023, a resolution adopting a governing body best practices handbook for the City of Cushing Board of Commissioners, Cushing Municipal Authority Board of Trustees, Cushing Hospital Authority Board of Trustees, Cushing Industrial Authority Board of Trustees, and the Cushing Educational Facilities Authority Board of Trustees. This is redundant from the more of the same.
A move for its adoption.
I have a motion from Mr. Orton to approve 6A. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Robertson. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 6B, resolution number 14-2023, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a proposal for services with Coates Field Services, Inc., in a sum not to exceed $99,400 for electrical easement acquisition services for the Harmony Substation project and to authorize payment.
Mr. Chairman, as you can see in the map that I have provided to you all, the construction of the new substation required there be some runs over to the existing utility poles on the adjacent property. It was not known to me personally that we did not have an easement or right-of-way over there. As soon as the property owner's father called, immediately began to look into it and realize that we did not have the appropriate permissions to be going on that property. The work has already been completed. I immediately called Coates and Fields, who helped us with the current Drake Station project and who helped do all of Main Street for us. And so this agreement is to continue work with Coates Field Service. We have found out there, to be quite honest, we have found that some of the boundary lines out there are way off, considering what's been done there for decades. So this will get all that cleared up, which is part of the reason why we're recommending at some point to purchase that full southern strip, to have an easement right away through there. So.
Anybody have any questions for the city manager about this item?
I move we approve resolution number 14-2023.
Second. Motion from Mr. Robertson to approve 6B, I have a second from Mr. Orton. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item 7, any other new business? No other new business?
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
Have a motion from Mr. Robertson to adjourn.
Second.
Second from Ms. Dow. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned at 7:40. I'm going to call to order the Board of Trustees of the Cushing Hospital Authority and the Cushing Industrial Authority and the Cushing Educational Facilities Authority at 7:40. Madam Clerk, will you call roll?
Mr. Robertson?
Present.
Mr. Brandon?
Here.
Ms. Dow?
Present.
Mr. Orton?
Present.
Chairman Lofton?
Present. We do have a quorum. Item 2A, consent agenda. Approve CIA claims totaling $9,008.33. 2B, approve CHA claims totaling $9,000. 2C, approve minutes September 18th, 2023, special joint meeting of the Cushing Hospital and Cushing Industrial Authority. 2D, authorize the city manager to execute a change order number 3 with J. Lee Enterprises in the amount of $1,634 and to authorize payment. Would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve item 2, the consent agenda as presented.
Have a motion from Mr. Robertson to approve the consent agenda. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Orton. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Resolution 3A, Cushing Industrial Authority Resolution Number 062023, a resolution adopting the governing body best practices handbook for the City of Cushing Board of Commissioners, Cushing Municipal Board of Trustees, Cushing Hospital Authority Board of Trustees, Cushing Industrial Authority Board of Trustees, and the Cushing Educational Facilities Authority Board of Trustees. This is the same thing from the other.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve item 3A.
Motion from Mr. Robertson to approve 3A. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Second from Ms. Dow. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 3B, Cushing Hospital Authority Resolution Number 10-2023. A resolution adopting a governing body best practices handbook for the City of Cushing Board of Commissioners, Cushing Municipal Authority Board of Trustees, Cushing Hospital Authority Board of Trustees, Cushing Industrial Authority Board of Trustees, and the Cushing Educational Facilities Authority Board of Trustees.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve item 3B.
Motion from Mr. Robertson to approve 3B. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Dow. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 3C, Cushing Educational Facilities Authority Resolution Number 032023, a resolution adopting the governing body best practices handbook for the City of Cushing Board of Commissioners, Cushing Municipal Authority Board of Trustees, Cushing Hospital Authority Board of Trustees, Cushing Industrial Authority Board of Trustees, and the Cushing Educational Facilities Authority Board of Trustees.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve item 3C.
Motion from Mr. Robertson to approve 3C. Do I hear a second? Second from Mr. Orton. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Are we still going to do executive session?
Yes, Mr. Johnson is here, and we are prepared for his presentation if you are, Mr. Chairman.
So we're going to skip 4A and come back to it. We're going to go to item 5A, presentation and acceptance of the fiscal year 2022-2023 Cushing Hospital Authority, Cushing Industrial Authority, and the Cushing Educational Facilities Authority audits.
Make a motion to accept 5A.
I have a motion to accept 5A. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Robertson. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We're going to go back to 4A, executive session. Executive session pursuant to 25 OS 307, the business for community economic benefit. Presentation by Economic Development Director Bruce Johnson. Would entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion from Mr. Orton to enter executive section. A second for Mr. Robertson. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are now in executive session at 7:45. Thank you all very much for coming tonight.